Today I'd like to talk about being liberated from our plagues. And this is relevant not only because as I'm recording this, we're living through a coronavirus epidemic that hasn't stopped and there's new variations, but also there's been shootings, upstate New York, inside of a school yesterday. And there was a girl raped in the Amazon and killed, and a 3-year-old thrown into, because they thought nobody would know, and a 3-year-old thrown into a river, and a lot of other things. I mean, just in school shootings alone, there was like, I believe 20 something in just since 2022 started, and it is right now May of 2022. And so what is this plague? And I'm gonna read out some things. We're talking all of us in our own ways, whether we're in the medical communities, wellness communities, science communities, spiritual communities. It is being unable to say, I need help, I'm afraid of failing. Is the root of it. It is the sense of relying on somebody outside of ourselves. And all of this ends up with codependence, weakness, immunity issues, projection, isolation, inadequacy, overreacting, devaluing life, denial, despair, guilt, degradation of different. So there is the opposite of unity, and we might say masculine represents separating. The vagina is separated, literally, and men as warriors with a knife. So we're going to say the left side of the brain, or the yin side, the yang side, and it's to be the one that penetrates, that forces through, that, in other words, the knife that cuts makes two. So it's the divider. And healing this wounded masculine. So we would say healing the wounded divider. The divider causes plague. What happens? The division can bring in the virus of us opening our mouth even. Or there's a wound and it gets infected because it's separated, it's cut and it's open. And things can get in and colonize. And so saying I'm not important to anyone. And the only way through this to liberate from the plague is to awaken to this messianic spark. The messianic spark is the part of us that is the light. So the light itself can see what's wrong because it is the light, and it sees what's not light. So the light projects. It cannot be divided. The only time you can divide the light is when you cover a part of it. So not wanting to integrate the bitterness, but it informs the sweetness. When people don't want to feel negativity, don't want to feel the sourness of having to see the aftermath of what we've done, how we've affected people, punishment. I mean, if we're only doing things because people are watching, this is part of that, and we're not going to really do it because it's from the heart that we want to do good. Deluding oneself that if I don't enjoy life, it will last longer. So we avoid actually feeling good. We think, oh, I'm in control. Like if I actually stop, take a break, and just relax and enjoy no matter what's going on, whether I'm on a line at the DMV, or I'm in traffic, or I'm at the oncologist office, just got bad news, like anything. If we don't enjoy it, then we'll have more time. It's like we think, oh, if you enjoy it, time flies. This idea that things and people have to change is a plague, or it'll never get better. So we have to start loving even as we're being hurt, seeing the hurt in the one that we love. In other words, if somebody is unable to show remorse for what they've done, they become so interwoven and indistinguishable from their actions that they are no longer the actor. They're just the actor. So there's no one who is acting. That means that when you bring up and say, could you have remorse for the action? They say, no, that's who I am. That's all I am. How could I feel bad for being who I am? And it's so threatening because there's no self at that moment, connection, to feel like more than the action. So we have to give thanks for the memories, the faith, the bravery, the people who invite oneness. These are our fellow teachers. These are what we might call the feminine. And it's all happening inside of us. I don't want to have it all my way and then end up alone without sharing. Is the only way to be like the woman wants to make the home for everybody to feel comfortable. Come home, my babies, come home, come home. And, what we chooses us. So if someone's choosing their kids will keep coming back. Mama's cooking, mama's hugs. Nobody makes my life feel better than mama, and just that sense. And even if you don't have a mama, it's a grandmama, it's an auntie, even if it's not in your family, there's some woman who you could remember this from. She chose you. She says you're okay. So you feel good around her. You want her to be the one that you show the stuff to. So it's like if anyone else is craving for you to show the stuff to, but they keep making you feel like you need help, or you feel like you're failing and you need help to be what they want you to be, like you can never quite win. And this is because there's a brokenly whole sense of being. Inspired and defeated is possible. When we get unplugged is when we get plugged again. I would use the word dialectical paradox. Being a channel, there's an up and a down, in or out. When you eat, it's like, do you like to think of your butthole being another mouth? One mouth, things come in, another mouth, things go out. What about the eye of the toilet, the mouth of the toilet? You want to think about that? Not really, but like how big our plates can be and how much we enjoy looking at our food and, putting it in our mouths. Most of us, not everybody. And the thing is, some of us, we get grossed out by eating sometimes. It's just disgusting. Like all this messy old food that, people are, like when we don't see things as fresh or we don't make a loving relationship and we just keep stuffing it in and it's not filling us up and we just keep pooping it out. Like when we become dead in our food eating is a good example of having this paradox and being able to eat the life, killing the food, getting the life from it. This is the dialectical paradox of being a channel of life. And so being brokenly whole is feeling calm, alive, generous, feeling like the light, and yet also feeling fragile, victimized, overstretched, and aimless. And this is the ability to say, if I am going through this, so is everyone else. We use the inlets of feeling broken to recognize that is the wholeness. I get to choose my master. My vitality comes from within. So this food is not bringing the life in, as I described. And I kind of went over it a little scattered, but the point really is, if we are consciously having our energy come in, now forget food, let's say it's medication, let's say it's communication, self-care, body lotion, whatever it is. In plenty of my videos, I give a lot of very real examples, long lists of things and options of ways to connect with the self. But vitality comes from within. We get to choose who the master is. Is it eating? If eating is the master, then we're going to be eating dead food, like I said, and we have to connect with the mouth of the butthole. However, if it is self-love, then as we make the food, most of the time and energy is going to go into the preparation because we know we're putting love into the food. We choose the master as the one who made the food, and then we are the one who co-creates, and we make this food with love and we prepare it for ourselves. So meal prep is a form of self-love. Not doing it on Sunday for the whole week and then on Friday, like I said, eating not fresh food, feeling like it's just disgusting to even eat. You're eating the same thing every day. It's not good feeling. So now I'm going to go into some questions. And these are self-inquiry questions. So there's a reason I'm asking them without answering them. And I'm going to say that you will have your own. So will I get to rest enough? Will I be soothed? Will I get taken care of and supported? Will my familiars feel safe to me? Will I be strong enough to be a warrior angel? Will I heal from the ruptures of trust? I'm going to read them one more time. Will I get to rest enough? Will I be soothed? Will I get taken care of and supported? Will my familiars feel safe to me? Will I be strong enough to be a warrior angel? Will I heal from the ruptures of trust? And this is how we have the relating lens versus the othering lens in the certainty. So I've talked about paradox, talked a little bit about masculine, feminine, and now I'm going to bring it together. And I've talked about eating and pooping. So I'm going to put it all together and say there's a relating lens, looking out, looking for ourselves, or versus looking for other, looking out, looking for something different. They are both valuable. Relating is we get to see this is the same, but that doesn't always balance. If you're feeling wet, you need something dry. If you're feeling dry, you need something wet. I'm speaking like in Ayurveda, we have a season of food that we eat. So let's say for springtime, we're eating the vegetables and the grains and everything from the winter that we're growing in the winter to balance the spring. In the spring, we're growing things that we're going to eat in the summer to balance the spring. So it's seasonal balance. So actually, sometimes something other is good. And then sometimes something other is bad. We need somebody who's capable of remorse. And if we're looking at people who identify, like I said, too much with their mistakes, they are not capable of remorse. In a way, they have a disability. So we have other, but we're not disabled in that way. It might be impossible to cultivate a healthy connection there, one that we trust. So now I'm going to talk about 4 ways to connect the relating with the othering and finding the balance, connecting what I'm eating with what I'm releasing, connecting what I'm, going for and what I'm receiving. And so trying to arise to the occasions. So I'm calling them occasions. I'm not calling them events. I'm not calling them activities. I'm saying occasion. And it's a good practice to start to say, this is an occasion that calls for, and you can see I can be that which is necessary. Trying to make a difference while I can. So that's saying, if I see somebody sad, I could make a difference by saying, thank you for sharing. It's so hard sometimes. And just knowing that you have the strength inspires me. It's enough. If I'm at my mom's house and she's made a whole big dinner or lunch and there's tons of dishes and she doesn't have a dishwasher and I could wash her dishes, I could make a difference. I want to do that. So making a difference while I can. It will make such a difference, and it only takes like 20 minutes from me. Trying to use my voice more wisely. I have a tendency to overtalk when I feel stressed. And a great way for me to see what's coming in, versus what's coming out. So what are things I'm not saying? I might ramble on and on and on, and I can't say what I need to say. And sometimes I'm too silent, and I don't know how to use my voice to speak up. Trying to keep up and not be forgotten. So, in other words, there's a part of me that gets lost when I start to spread myself into the world and all the options and people and the nice weather. Sometimes I want to just be part of everything. FOMO. However, by thinking that if I do all those things, I'll be remembered, I've forgotten myself. I'm trying to keep up with everything instead of myself. So keeping up with myself means I won't forget myself. And finally, to elevate my yearning is to turn to the divine protector, who's an everlasting nurturer. And it's hard to say this, but that means sacrificing the power I think I have. For there to be more, to elevate my yearning is so deeply. I want to know I'll be soothed and that I can trust. Like I said earlier, those questions. I want to know that, I'll be taken care of and supported, and I'll be healed from where the trust was broken, and I'll be strong enough to be that warrior I need to be and to be the angel who stays connected even when, I go above and beyond. But the only way to do that is to turn to something above, which is past where I'm at. I want to know that I'll be taken care of. It means there's an everlasting nurture. I've always been taken care of and I always will be. It's not anything I'm doing. It isn't what I'm doing. So sacrificing that power for short-term self-care in order to do long-term self-care is to recognize these is to recognize that there's wisdom, there's simplicity, there is skill, and there's despair. So when I'm in despair, there's a higher power who can meet me there. When I'm in wisdom, there's a higher power who can meet me there. When I'm in unskilled or skilled, there's a higher power to meet me there. When I am in simplicity, there's a higher power to meet me there. And in other words, if what I crave is a simpler life, I could elevate my yearning to say, I'll give up the ways I'm making it complicated. When I'm craving wisdom, make sense out of nonsense, and find respite in the chaos, I have to sacrifice my own power and say, look, I'm willing to do whatever it is that's making me blind and delusional and remove it. And when I feel like I am not able to handle things, I'm not important, I'm not skilled enough, I need help, I'm failing, like I said earlier, those insecurities, There's an everlasting nurturer who's going to give me the skills. They're always available. And you know what? I find on Eventbrite this class, and I find some hormone healing class, and then I find this, and I'm thinking about how, last year somebody told me something and I wrote it to myself and I just found it now. And then there's this book someone told me to read that's relevant right now. So there's an everlasting nurturer beyond time and space that is able to meet me when I sacrifice the sense of needing to have the power. And finally, the despair. When I feel the despair and I get to awaken that messianic spark that I am the light, that I'm not here to suffer, that I could rise to the occasion. When I'm in, a relationship where I feel hurt by the other and I can see where they're hurting, that's all to get past the despair. So this is liberation from plague and healing the divide. Wishing you the best. Stay safe. Be well.